Riley Carlson, congratulations, state champion in two different events, the Lincoln Douglas debate and International Exempt. Talk a little bit about you defended your International Exempt title and also won the Lincoln Douglas debate championship. What does it mean to accomplish both of these at a state tournament?
Well, accomplishing both, I mean, it's no easy task. Anyone who competes at state will tell you that, and it requires a lot of effort. I mean, I'm a senior, and there's definitely advantage to just being older in speech and debate. The fact that I have more years of experience under my belt definitely helps me in that matter. I mean, it means that I've continued to put in effort and try and not always succeed, but just continue to put in that effort, tournament after tournament, year after year.
Very good. Talk a little bit about what's the difference in your preparation between debate and exempt speaking, and how do you balance both of those?
Well, when I'm prepping for Extemp, there's not a lot of it to be done. Ultimately, I can read the news, but in Extemp, they give me the topic, and I don't know what it'll be until I receive it. I get half an hour to prep my speech, but until I get that topic, I don't know what it'll be. So for Extemp, I just read the news. That's really all you can do, because you don't know what they're going to ask you until they ask you. As far as LD is concerned, there's a lot more prep work that goes into that. I have to research, write cases, I have to cut evidence cards, and a lot of credit for that goes to my teammate Hunter Scott, who I'm going to be honest, did a lot more of that pre-round effort this year than I did, but I certainly reaped the rewards, and he understands how grateful I am for him, and we both use each other as a resource. That's part of the debate, is you rely on each other.
Talk about what your topic was that you had to speak on in extempore.
So I mean, the topics differ round by round. I'm in International Extemporaneous Speaking, which means that one round at state, I talked about the conflict between Rwanda and Congo. The next round, I might be talking about what the results of Chile's presidential election means for the economy. I mean, it really does change round by round, and there's no way to know what you will be talking about until you get the question. It might be three things you've never heard of in your life, and that's kind of the burden, is doing all of that research, writing your speech, and memorizing your speech within that 30-minute window.
And how long do you get to actually speak then on the topic?
It's generally recommended that you try to speak for about 7 minutes. And so it requires, I mean, you have 30 minutes, and I try to spend about 15 of that researching and writing and about 15 of that memorizing. So as far as things are concerned, I really get 15 minutes to write a 7-minute speech. It's not easy.
As you head towards national convention competition, what goals do you have and what lessons have you learned this season that's going to carry you to a national championship?
Well, I'm going to be honest, the past 2 years, my goals have just been to get there and to have fun. And I would like to do well this year, but ultimately, it's kind of a post-credit scene for the season as a whole. I'd like to be able to spend time with my friends in debate that I've become, close with over the time I've had with them. And as much as, I am there to compete, I'm also going to be in Virginia. You got to have fun while you're on vacation, and to an extent, nationals is a vacation for myself and the team. I mean, everyone who's going to be there earned it.
Very good, Riley. Congratulations. Really proud of you. Great showing for Sturgis Brown High School, and best of luck to you at state.
Thank you.
Well, Hunter Scott, congratulations on your championship in a domestic exempt speaking. Talk a little bit about it requires a lot of quick thinking. What is your process when you receive a topic and only have a short time to prepare?
Yeah, so when I receive the question, the first thing I try to do is think of an attention getting device that I can use. When I'm giving these speeches, I typically try to start with some kind of funny political story or some funny quote from a politician. So I try to think in the back of my mind if I know of anything I can use that would work for that speech. While I'm doing that, I'm also researching an overall article about the topic that I received, because that kind of helps me segue from my attention getter into actually asking the question in my speech. And it also essentially lets me narrow down what my three main points are going to be. From there, it's kind of easy. When you know what you want to talk about, you can kind of manipulate the search engine. You can kind of just type in keywords and find articles that support what you need. And then, yeah, I typically try to spend anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes researching, putting together that speech, and then my last, 20 or 15 minutes actually practicing that speech before I go to my room.
So, what was your topic that you had to speak on for the championship match?
Yeah, so for the final round, the question that I received was, will concerns about affordability compromise Trump's political popularity? So that was the question I spoke on. I talked about how, right now, some things that people are experiencing maybe don't quite align with what he's promising. And so that's kind of what the final speech was about that affordability crisis and how that'll affect Trump moving into the future.
Great. Hunter, talk a little bit about winning a state title while also placing in debate. It shows your versatility. Have those events helped you develop your speaking skills?
Yeah, they've gone a long way in developing the speaker that I am today. Extemp first has helped me a ton in being able to, get up and talk like I am now, without, stuttering or, not knowing what I'm going to say. And so Extemp has allowed me to, in a very brief period of time, take any information that I see and be able to deliver a cohesive and essentially, I guess, significant, important speech on it. And that is really important to me, especially when I want to go into things like, the legal field when I'm older. And then debate, on the other hand, it helps me kind of be able to think on my feet because I have no clue what my opponents are going to be arguing when I get into that round. And I have to be able to essentially curate responses to their arguments in that round. And so I get to think on my feet, engage in direct argumentation with opponents. I get to question them directly. So debate and extemp both together have made me a really good speaker. Yes.
Absolutely, Hunter. Talk a little bit. What was the toughest moment or the round during the state tournament for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super appreciative with how things ended. I'm really happy that I was able to semifinal in LD, but if I'm going to be honest, the toughest part of the tournament was losing that semifinal round. I remember my coach telling me that I lost it, and she asked me if I was doing okay, and I lied. I said that I was fine, but I did actually walk away, and believe it or not, I cried, and that was because I still have 1 year left, but it's the second to last year for me. And I thought that I had a good shot at closing out LD with Riley. And it would have been good to do that because it's his last year and he's graduating. And so, I'm really going to miss him. And I'm going to miss the other seniors on the team like Maddie. And so state this year was really sentimental because, I lost that semifinal round. I wasn't able to actually close out LD with Riley, and he's graduating now. But I've learned from it. I've learned what I need to do next season to avoid, a similar defeat.
Sure. Hunter, well, congratulations on bringing home a state championship. That's really cool. And best of luck in the national competition.
Thank you.
Madisyn Richter, congratulations on your state championship win on original oratory. Your oratory won the state title. What message or theme did you want the audience to take away from your speech?
Yeah, so my speech this year was about chronic consistency. So, specifically, how we as people develop routines really easily, and those actually hinder our growth as people. And so, the message that I wanted people to get was just solely that we need to keep growing and we need to be able to change and adapt to the world as it changes and adapts. So, that was what I really wanted my audience to get from my speech this year.
And how long a speech did you actually have? And how long did it take to prepare to have it fine-tuned so you were really ready to compete?
Yeah, so the speech is 10 minutes long with a 30-second grace period. I usually spoke for about 9 to 10 minutes every tournament. So for how long it took me, I took about a month or two to write the speech, and then memorizing it usually takes me a couple of weeks. But honestly, it's an all-year process. You're changing and revising the speech entirely as you get comments, so you never really stop working on your speech.
So, Maddie, what role did your teammates and coaches play in helping you shape your speech for this season?
Honestly, my teammates and my coaches play the biggest role in my entire season. So, not just in writing the speech, but in giving me the confidence to go out there and perform. I couldn't do it without the support of my teammates every single round. After every time I speak, I'm getting asked how I did, how I felt, and getting encouragement. As for my coaches, they help me write my speech, they give me ideas, and honestly, they just help me be the best I can be and critique me, help me with anything I could fix. And so that changes how I speak throughout the season, and I couldn't do it without that support all year long.
And Maddie, what grade are you in high school, and how have you competed? Has it been for several years now?
Yeah, so I'm a senior this year. I started competing halfway through my sophomore year, so that was a bit of a interesting decision to join halfway through, definitely not easy. But then I competed all my junior year and all of this year. And so that really just gave me the experience for this year, and I learned a lot of lessons along the way, and it's not always winning. You're not always winning state titles, so you really have to get through all that to get where I am now.
Very good. Well, congratulations, Maddie, on state championship win, and we look forward to seeing how you do at the national.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Ian Johnson, on state competition. Talk a little bit about what you competed in and how you come out.
Well, for starters, I mainly focus on public forum with an individual event in Domestic Extemp, and mainly what that entails is that public forum mainly revolves around a topic that they give you monthly. You're given a partner, and your job is to collect evidence in your prep time and build a successful argument that it is capable of overturning any possible opponent's case, as well as flowing more of your points and using effective leverage on logic, emotion, and ultimately appeal to authority to win your debates. And, with extemporaneous speech, it's mainly a question you're given. There's not a lot of prep time involved. What I can tell you is that it's a 30-minute prep time before your speech. You're given your question at the beginning of that 30 minutes. And ultimately, what comes to fruition is that you need to become an expert on that question in the span of 30 minutes and give a clear and concise speech that really does inform the judge, but also steers them towards an outcome, a solution for that question. A lot of these questions, they come in the form of problems, and it's my job as a speaker to do research and provide solutions and answers to those problems.
Ian, talk a little bit as a junior, what the state experience helped you with, and how's it going to prepare you for next year?
Well, I've been doing this for about 3+ years. I got an early start in 8th grade, and I've been keeping up with it. And it's kind of a bittersweet thing for me, mainly because I'm a little bit sour that I didn't place in state at the level I wanted to place at, and also the fact that I didn't get into nationals, and I've got an opportunity to really improve next year. But I will say that being a junior and not a senior really does put it into perspective, because you've still got time left, albeit that time is, it's finite. You have to think more on a considerable level about the amount of effort and time you're willing to put into it, because ultimately all of it's a resource, and that resource is ultimately it's running out, which is why you have to take things a little bit more seriously moving from junior to senior year.
Well, congratulations on placing, and we look forward to seeing you on the podium next year.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, congratulations, Coach Tamara Voight, speech and debate coach here in Sturgis Brown High. What does the finishing state runner-up say about the strength of the Sturgis Brown program this year?
We're strong. We have a very strong team, and where we're strong, we're powerful. We have 4 state champs. There are 6 divisions at the state event, and we took 4 of those championships home. So that says a lot to the strength of not only those individual students, but our entire team. Those kids don't become champions without the support of their teammates. That's people to do practice rounds with, other people to do research with, people to pick apart their arguments, pick apart their speech. And it also speaks to the strength of the kids' character, their ability to continue to move forward, to take in criticism and not let it hurt them personally, but look for being a better person, a better presenter, how well they work together, how independent they are. They're just a really strong group of kids. They're great human beings, and that championship just speaks to all of that.
Talk a little bit about where you've come from, different communities where you've participated in the speech and debate. Talk a little bit about where you've been and how you like it here at Sturgis.
I love it here in Sturgis. I would not leave. I started debating when I was 14 years old, so almost 30 years, yeah, a long time, at Watertown High School. So that's where I graduated from. And it was fantastic this last weekend getting a compliment from my past head coach, Scott Walker, proud of my kids, right? So that meant a lot to me. And then when I went to Northern State University in Aberdeen to get my teaching degree, I started coaching at Aberdeen Central High School before I actually graduated from college. And I coached there and taught there, and then I moved to Watertown, and I coached and taught there. And then we moved to Sturgis for my husband's job. And I've been coaching here for the last, 4 or 5 years with Mr. Johnson. So the success of the team is also owed to Mr. Johnson and the work he's done to cultivate a strong tradition of success here at Sturgis.
This team has success across debate and all the speaking events. How do you develop students in such a wide range of categories?
Not alone. So my assistant coach, Rebecca Schmidt, is new this year, and she's actually comes from the cross-country track world and didn't know anything about speech and debate when she agreed to take this on, and she's just done a fantastic job taking in those informative speakers, the orators, those individual events, and working with kids and developing them as speakers, and caught on to a lot of the debate topics and was able to go and judge and help and give criticism, so that's really helpful. And then there's so many kids to work with on so many different events that you have to build a team that can help each other and can coach each other, because I can't be the only one looking at their things. There's just not enough time for me to do that. So someone else has to be helping the informers build their boards and critique them on what their visuals look like. Somebody else has to be willing to listen to speeches or to talk to one another about the topics and the current events so that the kids can stay sharp.
Very good. With several of your students heading to nationals, what's the next step in preparing them for that level of competition?
First, we're going to take a little break for a couple weeks, let the kids rest. It's been a long season. You know, we start practicing in October, and we compete 2-day tournaments starting in November all the way through just last weekend. So it's a long, grueling season. So we're going to give them a couple, 2-3 weeks for a break. And then the extempers need to keep doing their research with current events. I will pull them in and ask them questions, and we'll just have conversations about topics, and they'll say things to me like, yeah, I know that one already, I'm good, or that one I don't know anything about, I better go do some looking into. So just making sure that they're current. The orators, we're going to start looking at rewrites. We're moving from a local audience of judges in Wyoming and South Dakota to a national audience of judges, and so we have to readapt, right, to a national audience. They're looking for different things on that level, so we'll start retooling those speeches and then practicing and getting some community members to come in and watch those speeches and give kids feedback.
Talk a little bit about the national convention, where it's at, and the extreme expense to get there and what you're working on for that.
So it's very exciting. It's such an honor to have kids qualify for nationals, but as the person in charge of making sure we get there, I always start doing the math. We're going to Richmond, Virginia, and in the last 2 years, it's been in Des Moines, so we've been able to drive. But flying this year is really the best choice for our team, so that gets expensive. You know, bag checks gets expensive. We have to register for them for the tournament, which is expensive. I've got to house the kids. It's a 5-day tournament, and so we leave on Saturday. Sunday we check in, we compete all week, and then we come home that next Saturday. So I have to house the kids for a week. We make sure we feed them at least one meal, and we do that all year long with money that we raise at tournaments as well, so that kids can compete. And I just want to make sure it's not a financial burden on students, so that doesn't stop them from participating. So the kids actually cook. They each take a night and cook a meal for the team. So we buy groceries for that as well.
That's great. And I think I saw that you've got a Facebook GoFundMe that would also help if someone in the community chose to help you out.
Yes, that would be amazing. There is a GoFundMe page. Lauren John started it on Facebook, and I think you can find it through her. And any support would be appreciated. $10, $15, $20, you know, to check a bag for the kids is $20. Any amount of help our team would really appreciate. And the public support so far has been amazing, amazing. And if you want to hear the kids speak, you know, just you can get a hold of me. They would love to speak for anything, either for free or for a donation. So thank you.
Well, congratulations on bringing home 4 state championships and runner-up overall. That's really awesome, and we're really proud. You represented Sturgis Brown High School very well. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm just really proud of my team.